Good evening and welcome to the August 14th meeting of the Waterboro Board of Selectmen. If you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. The Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, tuning in. Just one quick announcement. It's kind of a follow-up to last week. Talked about the lake drawdown, which is going to be earlier this year than typical because we've got some significant work to do on the dam. So right immediately after Labor Day, for those of you that may be watching tonight or have places on the lake, we will start the drawdown right immediately after Labor Day. We thought that we had a little bit of a cushion on the boat launch work, but that permit states that the work has to be done by October 1st. So immediately when the lake starts to recede, and as soon as we can get some equipment into the boat launch, we have to be in and out of there by October 1st. So for those of you that would like to plan on taking boats in or out, keep that in mind. So you probably have the first couple of weeks after Labor Day before we rope off the boat launch and commence working. So on the other side of it, though, it would be back open on October 1st, assuming that the work is done. But so keep those dates in mind. Any other announcements? Anybody on the board?
I just would like to offer my condolences to the family of Kevin Broad. He was the swim team coach at M.R.S.A High School and a math teacher. He lost his battle with cancer on Sunday, and I know that's going to be a loss. It's felt tremendously at M.R.S.A High School. He was very inspirational to his students. He was a very beloved teacher and a beloved coach. Did a great deal turning the swim team around, and my condolences to his family and the community.
Okay, moving on to appointments. We have Attorney Ken Cole with us this evening, who was here for another matter earlier that the board met with in executive session, and felt it was a good opportunity to have him just stay around for a few minutes. We have gone through a couple of iterations, I know, of the revised and proposed revisions to the charter. A few members of the Charter Commission here tonight with us. Ask Ken to just stay and answer any questions that there might be remaining before we accept the final draft and prepare that for a referendum vote in November. So I would ask that if you have any questions, we'll address those to Ken and go from there. So anybody's opportunity. I think the last questions that the Charter Commission had have been answered. Any clarification needed, or any questions by you guys? Or
would you like to respond to that, I guess?
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
The Commission has done really an excellent job and sent me their most recent draft last week. And I sent a quick memo back with probably half a dozen small items. They have run off another draft, which I got this afternoon, which addressed all of them except one small typo, which I have given them the exact language on at the end of this section 2.12. And with that, everything that I had in terms of concerns has been addressed, and I will get out that opinion that I'm required to give under the home rule law tomorrow to both the Commission and to the Selectmen, saying that it's in compliance with Maine statutes and the U.S. and Maine Constitution. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
The only thing I would ask, that one of the things that I guess just didn't get answered was the question of, I mean, you responded to us, but the question of deputies, doing, with the administrator, we had put the role of clerk and tax collector, all of those roles on the administrator, and we had asked for clarification, just making sure that all of the deputies would be able to sign, regardless if the administrator was in the office or not.
What I've said is that per state law, deputy treasurers, tax collectors, et cetera, can carry out those particular functions, so long as one, they're appointed, and two, they're sworn in to those jobs. I think the second question really that had come from the commission was, could they obtain some type of certification? Well, that really depends on the particular organizational body for those particular positions, what type of training they have to have, how long they have to work in a position, things of that sort. It's not something you would address specifically in the charter. And you don't, again, need to address specifically in the charter that those functions can be carried out, again, because the statute says, again, assuming they're appointed and assuming they're sworn into the position, that they can carry out those functions. In fact, in many municipal town manager type, council town manager functional type towns, the manager has all those typical titles, and again, there's always a deputy tax collector, deputy treasurer, deputy whatever, who does it all. So that's a traditional way of actually carrying it out. It's just so that somebody's responsible, you give them the title, but somebody else actually does the work.
And then, just to clarify, we had talked about when it would be active. We don't have any choice in that. It would have to be July 1, 2013.
Right, because it's interesting, on amendments you can pick it, but on a revision, the statute is very specific. It says it will be effective at the commencement of the next municipal year. So, yes. But your other question in terms of, once it's been approved, you can start moving toward positions that might be filled, things of that sort, as of that July 1 date. It's just that it won't become actually effective until that July 1 date, because the statute, for whatever reason, preempts the field on that one and sets a specific date.
Ken, just so I'm clear in my own mind on that, people that are in elected positions whose terms have not expired at the implementation of this, when this document goes into effect, that effectively terminates their thing, or do they carry out the remainder of their term?
They carry out the remainder of their term. I mean, there's a savings provision basically at the end of the charter, which is very typical. It says that everybody that currently has an elected position or a contract with the town or whatever it may be, that this adoption doesn't terminate any of that. Everything is basically vested or grandfathered and carries out to the end of the term or to the end of the contract, etc.
That's what we thought during our discussions, but that phrase in there that it has to, the charter has to be implemented at the next town
Implemented
meeting.
July 1, but
I
again,
don't know if it negated all the other.
no, people carry on. In fact, the easiest example I can give you of that's kind of an odd example is that Cumberland County adopted a charter a year ago, November. At the same time, they also elected a new register of deeds and a new treasurer to 4-year terms. They did away with both positions, but they're going to have their 4-year terms because they get elected. So the positions at the end of 4 years will become appointed. But that's how it worked out, just because of the timing of when the vote was.
Okay, any other questions, Jack?
This is really more to the committee. Do they plan to hold some educational meetings between now and town meeting?
We have talked about having one more public hearing. I don't know that we've actually set a date for that, but I'm not positive on that, but we have talked about it. I don't believe we have enough committee members here tonight. We're supposed to meet briefly afterwards, but it will, I didn't see you sitting there. So I think we'll probably talk about that, and we had talked about doing that, so.
I would just strongly urge you to have a couple of educational meetings around town between now and, so people understand what like everything else, people will get interested as the election gets closer. And if you had a couple of meetings in October, I think that'd be very helpful to people.
And if I can chime in on that, when you formally are given this per that statute, which you folks are about to do, you're required to have a public hearing on it at the same time that you would call for the referendum, because technically they're going to give it to you and say we want to vote it on in November, but you get to call when it is. So you have to have a public hearing at the time that you're calling for the referendum vote.
And we had discussed that to some extent and said that we would help them hold the public hearing, but it's really up to them to hold the public hearing.
Anything else? Just for anybody that has that question of why are we doing this in November, there is a very specific requirement that any revision to a charter or a new charter or whatever has to have a third.
30% of the
30%
last
of the
gubernatorial vote.
So, and we typically would not see that at a town meeting. So, and so this is a presidential election, so I think we'll get the third, okay? So, not that this presidential election has much, interest, but. All right, anything else? If not, we're gonna bid Ken a farewell and thank him for coming,
Thank you all.
and we'll move on. It is just a bit before 6:30. We do have published 6:30 that we would open the library bids, painting bids. Not sure if there's any reason we should wait, unless somebody would like to be here during the opening, but if there's no objection, we'll.
I think we should wait till
Okay.
6:30.
Yeah,
So we'll wait
technically a
till
person can come in with one.
All right.
No, they can't come in. It's
Um,
closed. It's
Oh, it's
closed.
closed. Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
technically,
there's
okay, a
no one
person
that
might
can-
not come in.
But
Oh.
if somebody wanted to be here.
Yeah,
during
for the
I
opening,
guess.
yeah.
So we'll wait 15 minutes before we do that. Hearing a delegation, anybody here that is not on the agenda that would like to address the board?
Why on the agenda?
I guess probably not, so you probably, if you... The floor is yours.
It will take us to
Yeah,
6:30.
it'll take us to 6:30.
6:30 tomorrow morning.
We finally got a response from DEP. They want us to file a plan for a Voluntary Response Action Program, VRAP, which was mentioned in that letter you talked about yesterday. They came up with this for 2000, but they just never bothered to tell us. So this is on where we want to put the salt shed. People up there think that the salt shed would be a good use of that site. The cost of doing this can be incorporated into the plans, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be a terribly expensive process. So, that having been said, hopefully, this is going to take a little while to do. I don't see why we don't cut it, so we can we got to get the engineering done if we're going to do this. We got to cut it to do the engineering. I'll pay people to go out there and do it with hand survey. It's going to cost us a fortune. To aid in this process, I've had the maps. We do not have anyways set of maps that shows what the town owns the property on the transfer station. So, to operate this project, I had all the 3 parcels of land that we bought down there put on one map, so we have an idea. Then I had it overlaid on a topo. So you can see, this shows the entire area and what we've got, and what action's been taking place. Dennis and I were down there yesterday because we need to have a consensus of what we're gonna do down there. Yeah, I think that's another one of the things, so. So, we need to have a consensus of what we're gonna do with this whole area down there. The area that we're looking to put the salt shed is right here, in this area right here. There's a huge hole out in there. You can see this area right here. This is a huge hole. I showed you yesterday to Dennis, so the hole is in there.
Holes down here, we're looking
The
at
hole,
social.
the hole is in there, the salt shed's gonna set like this, okay?
Okay.
So, I'd like to get that cut, but I want to run it by you before I authorize the cutters to start. They're ready to get in there and start on that.
What's the cost? Something that's in the budget and,
Oh yeah, this is all in the money that got approved for the salt shed. Hopefully, the cost for cutting is going to be a plus for us. We need to have some more pit area cut, and when we get this cut, we should actually generate some cash out of it. May not be much, but it's not an expense. The expense comes with the engineering. So that's where we are on that. And I guess just DEP is, would like it very much if we did this voluntary response action to close out those, because they've never closed them out. They haven't done anything in 12 or 13 years, but now all of a sudden they come up with, well, they've never been closed out. So that's where we are there.
Okay?
Anybody got any questions? Are
I
you,
guess I missed this. Voluntary response action, what does that
that's
actually mean to
that's
us?
on the waste oil pits.
Okay,
This whole thing's been held up, John, because of the waste oil pits
okay.
that they haven't tested since, what they say, 99 or 2000.
So what does it mean to us, voluntary? What's that part mean?
Well, they're not required, it's that we're gonna produce a plan and they're gonna approve it,
Okay,
rather than having a citation and then forcing us to do something.
okay,
We're voluntarily cleaning up something that they said was all right to
okay.
begin.
Kind of a proactive thing then.
Yeah, okay?
There's a lot of history with the pits. They were approved by the DEP years and years ago. They were their design. They work exactly the way that they were designed. We had them tested back in the 90s, I'm gonna say, well, then Sebago Techniques did all of the testing, the soil testing. There's nothing there. There might be some trace oil or something that I think they refer to it as bunker sea oil in some of the subsurface gravel. But as soon as you break through and get into the gravel pack, there's absolutely nothing in the thing. So for whatever reason, the DEP has had these on their list of, I guess, sites that have to be resolved. And I can remember meeting with somebody back in the 90s up there, because it was like, all of a sudden he was a newbie in DEP and decided that he was going to come down and do some test borings. And then in this last letter, they said that in 2000, the status is of July 26, 2000, that there was a remediation. It was in the remediation stage, but there was no remediation acted upon. So we were scratching our head about, okay, what does that mean? And evidently, they just want us to go take care of them, and I would suggest that if that's where they're at, then we ought to put a...
You gotta remember, the only thing that ever went in them pits was animal fat.
Yeah.
That's all it was the fat they took out of the hides. They washed them, the washed material got run through a processor, and the oily fat went into a container. We hauled it over there and dumped it. When it was warm out of the machine, It would flow good. When it got cold, it didn't, and, you know, it naturally dissipated. And it's been all these years, the water tests come back good. They never had any tests that come back bad, all right? It was just that somebody kept, there was like a itchy mosquito, they just wouldn't go away. You know, they had to keep nibbling at it, somebody here in town, so kept the DEP stirred up a little bit. And evidently, they either, you know, quit nibbling or something because the DEP went away. So if you have no objections, I want to have it cut and get started on this study. It's within the money that we have appropriated is sufficient to do this. All right.
Where's the wood gonna go that's cut off that? Is that something that the cutters are gonna take as part of their pay?
That's how they get paid.
Oh, okay, all right.
A good part of it will go right through the chipper and go to chips. That's where 95% of that stuff goes, is into chips, into biomass. Okay, so, you know, if you want to do something different, we can get somebody to come in there and cut it and try to save the wood and pay somebody to cut it and then try to sell the wood. But in the long run, this is the more economical way to do it, and you'll have it done in 2 or 3 days. They'll be done and gone. All right, the new dam road. Been working with Central Maine Power. They think they'll be up there within 2 to 3 weeks, possibly to set poles. We're not sure. It could be 2 to 3 months, but hopefully it'll be 2 or 3 weeks. The guys out here have been good. Now the paperwork's been submitted to Augusta, and who knows how long. I'd like to go up there and start at the 500-foot mark and do the road. It's going to leave us approximately 50 feet of pavement that when they're all done, a month, 3 months, who knows how long. They got a new procedure that they have to go through, so that everything has to go through a major channel to come back to us, even getting the pole permits. I said, bring the pole permits over, I'll sign them for you. And their representative said, our new policy is that it has to go through the channels. We no longer can just take them to the town and have them sign them and do that. They have to officially be sent and officially be sent back to them. So that could be slower than death. So I'd like to go up there. It'll require us to lose 50 feet of pavement when we, if it takes them, if by the time we get ready to pave, they're not ready. But if we don't get up there and put them in, we're going to be fighting with them school buses. And I can't imagine putting in 3-foot culverts across the road up there with the school buses. So if you have no objections, that's what I'm going to do there. We're ready. We're all ready to go. You got to make a decision tonight on what you're going to do about the planks for the pond. What we're going to do about buying those. Where you're going to get the money. I've checked on them. I gave Dennis a price, $126.19 a piece, Dennis.
I think that's what you said.
If we extend that ramp out 18 feet, it'll take between 24 and 30 of these planks. So, there you are. The notices for the drawdown of the lake, who's going to make up those notices, Nancy?
You.
They'll be quite cute. They'll think they're written in German. But anyway, we got that.
Yeah, we can do some here and then we can laminate them so they'll last.
Yeah, if you get them, I'll have Tommy put them up right away.
Mhm.
So I guess that's, I have a concern about the lake. I want to know what's going to happen after I get the gates pulled out. If the water don't go down. How am I going to put them back in after they're fixed?
When I talked to them before, they thought if it was only going to be a day or two for them to fix them, that they could put either a small coffer dam around there or they could put something to...
But we need the lake to go down to do the work.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay?
So probably we should be talking to Ledgmere.
But if if the lake don't go down, it's gonna be quite a job, because it's not level around those areas. So, you know, and, you know, I think you should consider while it's down, adding a gate to the end of that dam. But that's my thoughts. I think we should buy another gate, have that dam cut, and put another gate in the end of the dam. So we could maintain the water level better. We could open that up and get more water going out through the discharge. That 10-inch valve that's up there is insufficient. That thing's like trying to fill this building with a 1/4-inch garden hose with no pressure. It just doesn't help. There isn't static pressure enough to make it work. I guess that's,
If Ledgermere is generating, it's probably going to be hard to help to have them lower it a little more for us, so we could get the lake down.
anybody got any questions on our pictures here?
We're all set. Bridget?
I have a question, Doug, because I drive up and down New Dam every day, and every day I see new lines and numbers, and something's dug out here, something's piled up there, and it's very mysterious. And I'm always trying to figure out what is this going to look like when it's done? Is the road going to be widened?
When it's all done, right now you've got about 24 feet of pavement and shoulders. When it's done, you're gonna have 28 feet.
Very narrow.
What's that?
It is very narrow.
So it's gonna be roughly an average of 4 feet wider than it is now.
Okay.
And all the maps you see on there are just the length of the job by 50-foot increments. If you look at the orange marks at the end of the road that we put on today,
Yep.
if you look at the orange mark in the center, as you pull on to Chadman's Ridge Road, that would be by your left front tire. You're going to pull up there more or less at closer to a 90-degree angle than you do now. And a lot of people aren't going to be happy, because I sat up there today, I sat across the street on a rock, observing what was taking place, and I counted 30 cars. 6 cars actually come somewhat to a stop. The rest of them went through anywhere near from a trot to a full race. And cars coming, turning onto it, very few of them slow down much below walk speed. So, it's going to be very interesting. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, Doug. And we're just about 6:30. So we've got, I'm not sure if you've got that out here, so it would appear we've got 6 bids here that have come in. We just happen to have 6 people at the front table. So we'll give that to Gordon. And pass those 3 down. This is for the painting of the library. There was a spec that was put out. Somebody with a sharp pencil can keep track of it. Get into some of the, we're gonna not get into the determination of whether the spec is met at this point. The assumption will be that the quote meets the specification, and then as we review these, we'll make sure that that happens. So if we start down to my left, Gordon?
Mr. Chairman, you're asking for just the bottom total cost of...
Yeah, the company and the bottom line, I guess, is probably the best one.
Peter Cody, master painter, cost, or his bid is $8,925 even.
have Seacoast Property Maintenance, and their cost is $3,339.
3,000.
$339.
I have Bellevue Carpentry, Lyman, Maine, $7,200. Nancy?
I have discount painters, I'm sorry, at $3,850.
3,850. John?
I have bridge painting services at 5,800 even.
And David?
Have 7 full construction for a price of $4,800.
Letter range. And I would entertain a motion to accept the bids as presented.
I'll move that we accept the bids as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? This only accepts the bids and, in essence, closes that process. So, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And what is your pleasure here?
Now, did the lowest bid meet all the specs that did they list the specs?
What they've listed, the lowest one would be Seacoast. And what they've listed is power wash, complete building, scrape, prime, fill holes, caulk where needed, replace rotted and damaged boards, and prime complete building. We recommend priming the complete building, not just spot priming. 2 coats finished a complete job. Total material includes paint, primer, caulk, and lumber.
That's Seacoast, right?
Seacoast Property Maintenance out of Shapley.
Did they state what type of paint they're going to use, brand?
SW Duration Exterior Satin Finish.
It was specific what
Okay,
paint they
sure
was going to
it
use.
was.
Yep.
Okay. And cleanup, did they list cleanup?
They didn't, but it was in the, right in the bid spec, contractor responsible for cleaning up the grounds once project is completed. And
So
Brian,
is it appropriate here to make a take action on a particular bid?
I think so. Got a question, Bridget?
I have a question. It was brought up to me earlier by someone wondering whether the current paint that is on the building is lead paste paint or not, and if that's a consideration in how the building is prepped. And your memory, you probably know when it might have been last
I'm not
painted.
sure when the last time it was painted. It certainly has been well since.
Before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well since the paint
I
has
just
been
don't
on
know,
the picture. So.
I know there are simple kits you can get for a couple of dollars to test that, and I just want to make sure we don't run into another whole hurdle that we don't know about. And I'm sorry to bring this up so late, but
Yeah, I'm.
occurred to me.
In the spec package, hazardous waste disposal, when they scraped it down, if there was lead in there, that wasn't in the specs?
I would be surprised if there was lead paint on it.
I would too.
I'm surprised they're still painting on it, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been painted, certainly.
Any time issues here? I know we want to do this as quickly as possible, but there was no mention in the bid as to when it's supposed to be done by.
I'm not sure, I haven't looked at it before. I don't think there was. I had to show proof of insurance, if they get it.
So if we went with
we went with a low bid with the stipulation of it, that it be done in a certain time period.
You know, that certainly can be part of the negotiation between, certainly town administrator is gonna have to check out the contractor anyway. It's a matter of, awarding it to the lowest bidder at this point.
I would make a motion that we award the bid to Seacoast with the stipulation that the town administrator will get references and check the references and make sure that they do the work satisfactorily and that they are able to be available within the next 30 days to complete the work.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. I won't repeat that. I think that's.
To complete the work in 30 days? Or start?
Available to start the work within 30 days.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. And thank all of the folks that submitted bids. I guess it does show that there are some people that are hungry out there. Huh? Okay, moving on. In the correspondence, in this week's correspondence, the Treasurer's Weekly Financial Reports, Representative Libby's newsletter, memo from Attorney Cole on the Charter Revision draft, which we kind of talked about tonight, but if someone would like a copy, please contact Christina. Memo from the Planning Board, reason the planners review of projects. Copy of the email from Sebago Techniques with regard to the salt shed. We talked a little bit about that with Doug here a few minutes ago. Planning Board findings and fact notice of decision. Memo from the 12-town group concerning next Monday night's meeting here at the town office. And then the motor vehicles agents July 2012 report. And again, any one of those are available for viewing. You can contact Christina at the town office here. Reports and staff initiatives. We have our assessing agent, Jerry, with us this evening to talk about the tax rate for the ensuing year. So, Jerry, if you'd like to step up and we'll go through your proposals.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is the annual setting of the tax rate for the town of Waterboro. My memo dated August 14th attempts to do that. The valuation information and figures are from the August 8, 2012 printout. And what's provided are 3 tax rate choices. They're shown below. And the tax commitment, which is part of the figures that we're dealing with, come from town meeting that was held in June here in Waterboro. It does include the amount for the town meeting as well as the school is $9,404,914. It includes the county tax, which is $387,568. The RSU, number 57, $7,085,146. Main revenue sharing, which is directly from Augusta to help pay these expenses, is $434,996. Additional revenues the town has is $1,952,230. The final figures have not yet been reviewed by the auditors. Taxable valuation for the town is real estate is $744,082,600, excluding homestead exemption, which amounts to $17,760,000. Personal property which is also a taxable item, amounts to $6,534. That's $6,534,900. It's 2% less than last year's total. Last year we lost quite a bit more than that. It seems to be leveling out. Total valuation that becomes taxable this year is $750,617,500, and it equals to $2.77 million more than last year. Last year, I believe it was 1.7. This year, it seems to be 2.77, which shows there's been quite a bit of activity in the additions, a few new buildings, new dwellings, I should say, which is included in this tax number. The three choices for tax rates are, top one would be $12.80, which would cover the cost of providing for that tax rate and the expenses mentioned above. An overlay of $317,821. The middle one would be $12.84, which would provide, again, to cover the cost that was set by the town meeting and the school RSU 57. Overlay there would be $340,205. Last would be a proposed rate of $12.90, which would produce an overlay of $393,780.
$93,000.
Taxes are committed. We could commit taxes August 22nd. The tax bills could be mailed by September 7th. The due dates for fiscal 12 would be October 5, 2012, and April 5, 2013. Late interest fee for taxes are 7%, and the attachments for the calculations are included for your review. And that's the end of that report. Any questions?
So last year, Jerry, we were what, for 738 million?
Yes,
Something
just
like
about.
So we did gain some in the real estate end of things?
Yes, new valuation total.
Even though we lost a little bit in personal property tax, we gained more than what we kind of anticipated, right?
Yes, with the last year's showing of 1.77, I believe, I thought that maybe this year we'd be lucky to achieve the same, but I was surprised.
Well, folks, what is your thoughts? And what are your thoughts?
Well, I would opt for the lower of the three rates. That still gives us an overlay of over 300,000. We underspent last year. We gained on our fund balance, so I don't see why we would, as long as we hold a hard line like we did last year, and I think we did a pretty good job last year of keeping things in line. I think if we do the same thing, there isn't any reason for us to go beyond our budget, and I don't think there's any reason to go with a higher overlay than we need to.
Anybody else?
Is that a motion?
I would make a motion, we set the tax rate at the 1280.
At 1280?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
We've been moved and seconded to set the tax rate at $12.80. Any discussion?
What has our overlay traditionally been year after year? I can't.
The last couple of years, we've been in the 329.
Last year was 347,
Okay,
800.
347. Yeah, I think the year before that was like 329 or something. So we've been in that neighborhood. I mean, you can certainly squeeze it down. You know, for every dime, we're what, $75,000 basically.
Thereabouts.
So more you get down, the more of a risk you bet, that's all. So, and it's not as, I mean, it's not like it's just sitting there building a fund balance. We use it basically the following year, so it's not like it's it's not, the fund balance isn't growing.
No.
At this point, so. Any further discussion?
Is the 317 in our projections going to be sufficient to meet our needs in the next fiscal year? Or are we cutting it too thin? I know that we want to toe the hard line, but
Well, it's not a number that we can consume this calendar year anyway, other than whatever abatements come back, and I think most of those are quieted a bit. So, I mean, it's somewhere in that ballpark of where we've been for the last few years, so. I don't think it's a high-risk number. I mean, if,
The 317 is
Right.
not the high-risk number, yeah.
David?
I support the
Okay.
motion.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? So be it. Get the wheels moving.
Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies.
Okay, moving along. Transfer station managers report. Clint, you've got the floor.
good to see you back, by the way.
Yes, it is good to see you back.
Good to be back. I've sent out the letters to the commercial haulers for the 2012 permits, and that's about 2 weeks ago. And I just saw this one in the folder in there, but other than that, we've got none back. I expect we should get them next week, by next week. I sold the metal pile last week down there. Minimum was $200 that they're going to pay, and if it goes to $240, $250, that's what they'll pay.
Per
And
ton.
they'll, what?
Per ton.
Per ton. Well, not not 200 for the pile.
I just want to clear that up. Somebody's going to say that, can we get $200 for all the metal?
He said anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks they'll be here. What they're doing is they're starting their rounds now, and they're way up north somewheres, and they usually come down through Harrison down that way when they come. As you know, the brush pile and the wood pile down there was ground, and everything stayed there and stayed there and stayed there. I got a call from him today, and the bill is going out today, and total was $6,559 what it's going to cost us. And I think we estimated $10,500 or something like that. We got, they ground 258 tons of brush and 160 tons of demolition wood. And I guess the holdup was that SAPI, they kept coming up and doing their tests. And the first test was a real good test. And I guess the second one was just about the same, real good test. That saved, normally it would cost us, if we had to ship that somewhere, it would be around $13,100 to $500. They paid all the testing, which was around $1,000. So that saved us a lot of money too. And we're lucky that we're dealing with SAPI, because right now Borex has shut everybody off. They're taking no more demolition wood. They don't even want to see it. I don't know of any place you can send it unless you send it to Massachusetts, and that would cost us a lot of money. So we're pretty lucky that, and SAPI is only going to do the people that they've done in the past, the towns they've done in the past. They're not taking any more of that wood because they're getting so much green wood now, and brush and stuff. We just hit on this. Dennis will probably really get into this, I hope. There's been a reduction in our monthly fee, and it went from $14,795 down to $12,550, and that is a savings of $2,244 a month, or $26,000, almost $27,000 for the year, which is real good savings. So it paid for them to pay off their debt and have the reduction start. One of the bad things we've got to talk about, should talk about, is the single sort that we're doing with the silver bullets. And we just signed did a new contract with Dean. And in there, he's charging $70 to haul these containers down to the transfer station and dump them. And we're having some problems like with here. The loads aren't full. I talked to Pete and I talked to Christina last week and said she had to tell them they've got to start packing more in there, because when the containers are coming down every Friday and there's only about a quarter of a load in there. So we're going to wipe out all the savings there in trucking again. I don't know what, maybe if we had that second silver bullet, that, you know, everybody would feel safe up here. Maybe Dennis can pound on them a little bit. I've called them and called them and called them, and they just say they don't have one. They've got 6 down there they're rebuilding, but we really need one.
So they're hauled every week?
Regardless, he's shipping them every Friday. So they bring them down and dump them, and this last week, Dean kind of blew a fuse and made me come over and said, look in that container. He says, this is wasting my money and
So
time.
why do they haul them every week? Yeah.
Well, during the weekend sometimes that they get over full and they're putting the stuff out in the parking lot out here.
But then,
I thought you
on
said
one
it was
hand,
a
you say they're
quarter.
not full, and now,
Well, on Friday morning he calls and Dean will go and pick it up. But if it sits there all week, we could end up like, well, Nancy knows, some weekends those things will get full on the weekend.
are they full, or are they just the front of it is full and they can't put anything in? but they're
We've had
empty?
some pretty good loads, really full loads come down, and he usually bring them on Wednesday, and they're usually pretty full.
So I don't understand the problem if they're not full and they are full. I mean,
What we need is that second silver bullet, really, so that there is plenty of room to put this stuff in.
What are we getting out of the one at the Lions?
We're getting anywhere from 1.5 to 2 tons. I mean, they're actually doing better, but not as many.
Are they pulling it once a month, once a week, once every
It's just
2
about
weeks?
once a month. Yeah.
So there's value in leaving that there, so it
Yes.
really is.
And the one at the school's been very full this summer.
So, I know Eco Maine had 5 or 6 out
Yeah.
that they were having painted,
Right.
right? We
Yeah.
borrowed one of those for Old Home Days.
Right.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to have that discussion with Kevin to see if we can get another one.
When you said he was upset because he only had a quarter of a load, what were you referring to there?
The silver bullet out here would be just about a quarter full. The
I
last
thought you said that it was being over.
If it's a quarter full on Friday and you have a big weekend,
Okay.
Monday or Tuesday when Nancy and everybody comes back here,
Monday,
Okay.
it's
So the
full and
weekend it
it's all
fills
over the
up.
parking lot.
And so he can't pick it up on a Monday?
No, because there's nobody there to dump it. He usually comes down on a Wednesday or Friday.
All right, this just isn't computing for me. Because you're saying it's only a quarter of a load,
Yeah,
but
On
that's
Friday.
gonna be with a weekend in it, because if they were getting dumped every Friday, then it's gonna have the previous weekend in it.
yeah. But see, that one was dumped on a Wednesday too.
So
It
he
was
came-
full from past weekend. They came and dumped
So
it.
he came on a Wednesday.
That's right.
Right.
And
And then
then
he brought it
Friday,
back.
he just called and chipped it
Yeah,
down to us.
I guess we really ought to say if it's, especially now, I think we're towards the last part of the summer here, we'll haul it every Wednesday. And if it's not full, then it goes every other Wednesday or something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy that we would haul it down there and pay to have it hauled and
Yeah.
get a ton out of it.
That's right.
We
I
go
mean,
through
it's-
waves that it will be packed and then,
I mean, it seems like Pete could check it and say, yeah, we need to have it picked up, or no,
we
we
tried
don't.
doing what, 2 or 3 weeks before the
Yeah.
summer, and we started 3 weeks, didn't we? Then we had to go back to 2 weeks.
That's right.
And then with the summer, it's like been,
Yeah.
Well, I
and
mean,
half of the problem too, when I've going up with stuff in, his boxes not being broken
That's right.
down.
We're still not getting the problem of having household trash mixed in with it too. We did for a while.
Is that-
You're getting some.
You get some, you always get some.
You're always gonna get it. Yeah.
Well, it really boils down to if Pete's gonna manage when it goes. He can't go if it's not full.
Yeah,
Or
he's,
it's not
I
three-quarters.
think what's gonna have to happen, he's probably gonna have to get a pole, and he's gonna have to do like we used to do at the transfer station down there. Remember, David? You used to have to pound on that and push it down, and, you know, even sometimes open the back of it and break the boxes down. But if we had that other container, then we wouldn't have that problem on real busy weekends.
So maybe you and Nancy and Pete can have a sit down and
Yeah.
figure out how.
Okay? And
I don't think it's rocket science. I think
No,
you ought to do
no.
it.
And our recycling rate for the month of June was 21.79%. And that came out to 19.73% for the whole year. And that's down from about 25%. So we're down 5% for the year.
What about the household waste?
Household waste is 1,831 tons for the year. Not the, you know, fiscal year, not the calendar year.
So is that up or down?
It's just about the same. It's down a little bit, but it's pretty close to, it's not that much really.
They were running both down.
Yeah,
At least we're not seeing recycling down and household up.
right.
You might see that one month, but part of that's timing issue.
That's right. And
That's why you really gotta watch the year-to-date number and not. I mean, it's nice to look at a high monthly number,
Right.
but we can affect that monthly number. You know, if you haul all the single stream, you know, at
That's
the
right.
end of the month and not as much household waste, and it skews the number for a month. So it's really you gotta look at it on the average.
Another issue too is summer residents, do they recycle as effectively as the year-round people? So do we need to, you know,
I think
I'd
most
say
of them do.
Yeah.
Because where they're coming from, they're doing it, they're recycling. An awful lot of them, when they get the sticker, say, now where do we recycle, you know? Where are we doing it now?
okay.
An awful lot of them. In using the figure of 1,831 tons, if you figure the 19.73% recycling rate, that figures out to about a savings of $31,800. And if you boost that up to the 25% again, you're back to 40,000 plus that you'd be saving. So I just don't understand why more don't recycle. They save a lot of money. And I'm in the process right now of putting on the disc for David, and he's going to put it on the transfer station website back 4 years, all the monthly figures for all, you know, everything's been hauled out of there. And anybody that wants to get on there can look and see, it'll be right there. And that should be within 3 or 4 days. It'll be up and running.
It's been about 5 years, maybe it's time for paper bag again. That'll boost it up another
Right.
10%.
Yeah. Okay. We are getting new skid steer tires still. They took them today. They should be back tomorrow.
Good, should have been
We
time.
were running on foam.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
Okay, any questions of Clint? Anybody? Real quickly, Pat couldn't be here tonight for the transfer station committee, but she did put out a note, and we'll put that in the packet, but she just wants to, I'm not gonna read this verbatim, but the transfer station, transfer recycling committee did have a presence at Old Home Days, and we had one of the artfully decorated silver bullets, which isn't silver anymore, but had that on display, and we were giving out free recycling tubs if anybody wanted them. There was a donation from Poland Springs, so Pat had a pretty good bucket full of ice down water for anybody that wanted them, and we did a couple of raffles, and there was a coloring contest. Pretty successful day, and when all was said and done. We are now trying to work with, for those of you that remember David Pope that came in here and talked about the zero waste program this past year in the school district. We really need to work with the school. There's an opportunity there. May not affect Waterboro's recycling or waste rate, but it will affect Waterboro's cost over at RSU 57 based on the amount of money that they can save if they recycle in the school lunch programs and at the schools rather than just put everything into the household waste as they would refer to it. So, looking for a couple of members in the transfer station recycling committee. And the next meeting is August 27th at 6:30 over at the old town hall. Eco Maine, I guess, is next, and I have the honor of offering that up. Clint had mentioned that the rate is down as of August 5th, I think. There is no longer a debt at Eco Maine. The waste energy facility, all of the other costs associated that were those multi-year bonds, and go back to back in the 80s when we signed 30-year notes and everything else from to build the waste energy facility. It is now paid off. There is an effort now to build a fund up so that they can self-fund some of the capital improvements going forward. I think the target is somewhere in the $20 million range. Unlike other southern Maine waste energy facilities, Eco Maine does not spew gases and soot and everything all over the countryside. It's one of the cleanest waste energy facilities in the country, and it's probably one of the best managed, I guess, in my opinion now, that the way that it's running in there. It's really, really a pretty class act, the way that it is being done, the single sort recycling. They have now picked up a couple of municipalities since the announcement of the closure of M.R.S.A. So we'll see as time goes on whether or not the community continues to build. There's 21 owner municipalities, and then there's a bunch of contract municipalities in there. I think we're up to like 42 or something like that. Waterboro's tonnage, as Clint had said, we're down into the, actually, I'm not sure how we duplicated 2 years in a row at 1,822 tons of waste, but it was identical. But the house of the recycling was down by a few ton as well. So we went from a 22% recycling rate to a 20% recycling rate, but there was no switch. In other words, we didn't see a spike in household while we saw the reduction in single sort. So we'll have to see if we can work with the recycling committee and everybody to see if we can better understand where that's going or whether there is any to be done. So you know, and I've been now, I guess, a year and a half in the Eco Maine, so it's I know it initially when you kind of go in there, it looks a little the way that everything is run, you kind of question how things are done, but I think it's a pretty well run outfit. For those of you that are familiar with the landfill, they are now digging up the landfill, the ash fill, and they're mining out the more metals out of the ash.
Are
And
they
they've
still
done-
doing that?
They're still effectively doing that. So they're taking just to kind of put that in a frame of reference, household waste gets reduced by 90% when it gets burned. So you get about a 10% ash, and they're now able to take another 3 or 4% out of that ash by mining out more metals. So it does have an impact on what's left in the landfill, so, or the ash fill, I guess you call it. So. Any questions or comments on EcoMaine? We're a member. It's not another company. We are owner of the company, so are a part owner of the company. So anybody that wants to get in, the annual recycling day is September 15th. So anybody that wants to go in and see how EcoMaine runs, they're more than welcome to go in. It's an open house for, I think, 4 hours in the morning. So, Bridget?
Am I right in that the way that they do with the single sort now, the burning the ash does not contain the metal because they're using the huge magnet? So it's
they
before
sort
a
out-
certain period of time that the metal was going into the ash, but that stopped at some point, right?
There is the ferrous metals in the ash. They sort out at the incinerator.
Mhm.
In other words, it goes out and anything that's magnetic gets pulled. I say most of it does, but there's other metals. The aluminums don't. Those kind of things, and that's really what they're now mining out of the ash from. So they're taking everything that they didn't retrieve when they originally worked the ash out of the incinerator. But some of it does get pulled before the ash ever goes to the landfill. Okay? We can get back to the agenda here. Selectmen's report.
Town Group meeting is Monday night. Jeff Herman from M.R.S.A is going to be here as a guest speaker. One of the things that he's going to talk about is the uniform building code. I had invited our CEO, but unfortunately he's not working that day. He's not able to attend. But the other thing that we're going to be talking about is any legislation that communities would like to see presented this year. So sometime between now and Monday, if you think of something you want to email me, I'll bring it up on Monday night while we have that year here.
Did you, I wonder if Tom notified the planning board? Or if it could be something they might be interested in. Members.
They probably don't know about it. I mean, Tom's not up on the 12 town group, so he wouldn't know about it. And I didn't think of the planning board. I thought of the CEO, and I didn't think of the planning board. So I'll hit Tina up and see if she could just at least send them a Good idea, thank you.
John is also going to, in fact, he had it in his letter. I know he's talked to Doug about it. Kind of would sum around what we expected and have experienced with Old Alfred Road and us taking it back over. One of the discussion items is going to be, should there be a state law that says this is what happens when the state DOT is trying to force a road basically back onto the municipality. So I know John has talked to Doug extensively about some of the criteria, and I think if you talk to Doug, he's got half a dozen ideas of what should be done before.
Yeah.
But that's going to be kind of teed up with Jeff Herman on the M&A side.
And part of what's disappointing about what's happening with Old Alfred Road is that there was a committee that was formed that had DOT, it had state government officials, municipal officials from large towns, small towns, and collectively they came up with, when the state was looking to turn all these roads over, they collectively came up with, if a road is going to be turned over to a municipality, this is the standard that it should be at, and they spelled out the standards. And you would think that DOT participating in those conversations would mean that as they're turning roads over to communities, they would agree to the same agreements they came to in that policy meetings, and they didn't. You know, they've totally reversed from what they were looking at doing when they had the road.
And their dilemma is they have no money. And one of the things that Doug had mentioned was it should be over a course of, a couple of fiscal years before you can turn a road back. That would give the state, if there had to be work done, that would give them 2 budget cycles to plan the work that had to be done into it. So it'll make for some good discussion whether or not it sees the light of day in the legislatures.
Well, I mean, you're gonna talk to Jeff Herman, is it? I mean, it just seems like, okay, here's the road, shove it. That's what the state's saying to us, okay? I would like to go on record as saying, hey, we don't accept it. You can give it to us, but we're not accepting it. Live up to your agreement.
Well, I think right now, the course that we have is just to continue to keep the pressure on getting it done, right? And until you see it paved, and even though it's gonna be skinny mix, I guess.
Very skinny.
Yeah, it probably will be very skinny. Right?
A little bit of black paint.
They call
Might
it
be the
anorexic mix now.
Might be the Jenny Craig version. All right. Anything else from the selectmen?
I know it sounds like we continue to beat a dead horse, but there are still incidents in town where people are leaving pets in a closed car while they go into the stores. There was an incident down at Hannaford's. It has what you might consider comical overtones when you look at the whole big picture, but the core element of that it's not humorous. There was a couple of dogs left in a vehicle in the parking lot. It was one of the extremely hot days. The window was only cracked slightly, and somehow the 2 animals got in a fight inside the car, and the doors were locked, and I guess it was rather a vicious attack between the 2 dogs, one of which I guess was a pit bull and the other was a smaller one, and repeated pages, I guess, within the store to try to get the owner to come out didn't prove too fruitful until well into the situation, and our contract deputy responded down there, and because the crowd was beginning to gather, he parked his cruiser in such a way to try to restrict people from, coming up there and agitating the situation further, when a gentleman who I'm told was a little advanced in years decided that he was going to try to pull in there and did not heed the directions of the deputy and ran right into Sean's cruiser. So it's, the whole situation went from worse to worse up there. And I just think people really need to use their head and be a little more conscious of the fact that they cannot be leaving pets or children or anything while they run into the store when they're in an enclosed vehicle in this type of weather. I mean, it does not take too long for that temperature to rise considerably in the interior of that car. So, just my 2 cents for tonight. Get off the soapbox.
Anything on this end of the table?
Yeah, well, Dad, I've seen cars with the air conditioner running with the air conditioner going on for the vehicles, and I always think, what would happen, like in this situation, the dogs got fighting in there and put the vehicle in drive.
Yeah.
I mean,
One of them would have to steer.
that's right. One would have to steer, one would have to hit the gas pedal.
Probably break up the fight, huh?
Yeah,
When they
right.
hit something.
Change the
Okay.
music.
Moving along. To welcome back our town administrator. I'm sure she has a whole load of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
one thing, we've had it on our website for, what, Dave, 3 or 4 weeks here on the tax club. I got an ad going into the Smart Shop, but I want to make sure that this is the 3rd year of our tax club. And the deadline for submitting the application is going to be September 1st. So we want to make sure everybody understands that. And I'm working on this lot on map 1, well, the one with selling to James Treant. So far, I have to get from 1980 to 1989 the assessment, and for 86 and 87 the tax rate. I think those records are up overhead, so.
In the back corner?
Yeah, I'll get Pete to protect me from the ghosts, and we'll have to look it up. But I hope to have it by next week, but
He was in 2 weeks ago, I think, and we told him that we were moving forward. We were just trying to work what the town had in it.
yeah, it was hard to find some of the older books. When we ran the commitment, we ran it with the town of Waterboro property. So I was able to find it, but 89, isn't that when did we get? That would have been 87 we got computers, right? So from 80 to 86 might be a little hard to find. But.
Anything else, Ian? All right, new business. Discuss the vote to approve a partial waiver payment in your packet. What's your pleasure?
I would make a motion that we not approve this partial payment as presented, because there's a note attached to this that they anticipate another payment agreement for this property from other family members. And I think that we ought to vote on whatever the final agreement is going to be here, and not vote now and then again a week later when it changes. Or
Yeah, but I don't read that as them being combined. So you've got,
I have the note that says anticipates another payment agreement for this property from 2 other family members.
okay, so do you think the waiver will be from all 3 or from?
I'm not sure. I don't think there's. I personally don't have enough information to, vote on, some kind of partial thing.
We can certainly send it back and see if that's going to happen.
I mean, I'm perfectly good with the idea of entering into payment plans with people that, to get partial payments so that we can clear some of the tax burden, at the same time making it as easy economically on the people affected as we can. But we had I think I need to know what I'm voting on.
Okay, so,
I think the thing is, who's the property owner?
right, so there's been a motion to forego this. Is there a
Yeah.
second?
Yeah.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Okay, we'll send it back and see what transpires there. Okay, discuss the lake lowering and plans for repairs to the dam and a boat launch. We kind of beat around that a little bit earlier. I think the real discussion is, I think we saw some of the communications from the town engineer that this has to be done by the 1st of October. The question that Doug brought up, and I think he sent the note to us, Nancy, on what the cost of the planks are. And they're what, cement planks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, the real, question is, I'm not sure that we gotta come up with the number tonight, but we need to know what the total project's gonna cost us, and I guess we'd have to look at what the cost of the planks are and the cost of putting them in, right?
And see if the state might have some too. We'd have to send the truck up, but
So why don't, if you can work that, I guess, this week, and then we'll have a number to say, okay, we need to either pull this out of Parks and Rec, or I would guess that that's really where we gotta look at, conservation. But, anyway.
You can spend the conservation money without town meeting, because
Right.
it's in a dedicated account.
We can't, right?
Right.
Right.
Can't.
So we gotta figure out what it is, and then I guess what course of action we need to determine of how we're gonna pay for it. But it needs to be done, I think, one way or the other. Anything else on any questions or comments? Again, for everybody's awareness, we're gonna start drawing the lake down immediately after Labor Day. And we have to have the boat ramp work done by October 1st. The work on the dam doesn't have to be done by that, but, so there's two different projects being worked. The real question is can the lake go down far enough so when we take those gates out, it's not gonna be a problem.
Hope for a dry September.
Yeah. And if you get rain, then we're in a bigger problem.
And if it extends too long, we're gonna run into the same situation as last year, is the water being too cold for the divers.
Well, and this, with the permitting, it has to be done by October 1st, so.
Well, that's on the,
But the gates are,
the
we got
gates
some
I'm
leeway.
talking about.
All right, so, when Christina watches this back to get the minutes done, we'll have her put the boat launch repair funding on the pending decisions. Item 3, discuss vote on the insurance cap. So Nancy,
I'm trying to
I
find
think
my-
we've seen your note here.
This is further down. One of the things that has come up
Page
is,
30.
there it is, yeah. One of the things that has come up, we had the cap last year, but this year the cap, is $9,000, and it was done differently. It can include family, and whatever other insurance that the employee would like to have. What we have been doing now is continuing with taking the 10% out, because that was what the board had requested in March or April, because we ran into problems with going over the cap, and employees would have to pay the difference. So we have a couple of options. Is we can disperse via the 12 months of $750, and then the employee pays the difference. Or we pay until the cap is met, and then the employee pays, which I think then we'll be in more problems than we were this spring. Or we can continue with the employee paying the 10%, and open enrollment is in December for any additional changes of plans, and we can adjust that time when the new rates are known late November for January 2013. So if somebody is single employee on one of the lower plans, because now we offer 3 plans, they could at that point get reimbursed back, because we're going to know what the rates are starting January 1st versus what the cap's going to be and what they have paid. Or I just wanted some direction from the board on how you would like to proceed with this.
I would think the simplest thing would just be
The $750
the $750, and the rest of it falls as it may. Everything beyond that $750 a month comes
Yes,
out of the
please.
employee. And if that changes, because the rates change and they're in open enrollment, then they have.
Well, it wouldn't, because 750 is
No.
the cap.
Right, that $750
Right,
won't
right,
change,
but
the
their
other
end,
one will.
right, correct.
I agree.
Option 2 is no good.
Yeah, yeah, we tried that and that didn't work.
And option 3 is still,
Yeah.
you know,
So option 1 looks
10%
like-
may or may not cover their share, right?
Mhm.
So,
And that's what we've been following, I've been following because of what was decided
so
in the
would you
spring.
like us to vote on option 1? Does that make?
So
Yes.
move that we disperse the cap via 12 months at till 750 is paid.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded that we use option 1 as presented by the town administrator, which would be to just take the cap over a 12-month period. Any discussion?
How many employees are in a plan that don't meet the cap?
Oh, I would have to look.
They would be exempted from the 10% though, correct? If they're,
There's one that would be, well, depending on the rates, they will probably come in $100 under or $200 under the cap. Yeah, I would have to look, see what everybody has for plans.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it shouldn't be across the board 10%, that we should look at it individually.
Oh, so
And
that's
only-
why it
only-
says,
So like the 750 would make it.
that's that, everybody's the same then.
And
There's
it-
no 10%.
We'll disperse $750 a month per employee towards insurance. It's not
Which
gonna be
is
based
up
on
to the
10% or
750, right?
something different for one or another.
If somebody's less than the 750, it would be less than 750.
And it's set up so in the personnel policy that if somebody, it can only go for benefits that are offered through Maine Municipal Health Trust. So if somebody is only taking, insurance only comes to $8,000, that doesn't mean they're gonna get the other $1,000. You know, nothing is gonna be added onto their salary or their wages. It has to go through benefits.
And only benefits that are under MMA.
Correct. Our current carrier.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Discuss vote to appoint a public, discuss vote to appoint public access officer as required by the Freedom of Access Act of most recent legislature. We delayed this a couple of weeks because I didn't feel right that we should appoint somebody that wasn't here.
I make a motion that we appoint Nancy.
Gee, I wonder. Clint,
I would
it's either you or I.
second that.
Been moved and seconded that the town administrator fulfill the role of public access officer as required by the revised Freedom of Access Act. Any discussion?
Well, what are they supposed to do?
They have to, it's the legislature,
I hope you don't get a big head over
no, the legislature requires now, that they continue to tweak this law,
No, my head's a
freedom
little
of
swollen.
access and whatnot, and now what they're saying is that each municipality should have a public access officer. In other words, if someone wants to have access to public information, then they have to go to the officer to get that, instead of just going to anybody in the municipality. It would have to go through the public access officer.
Which doesn't change what we're doing now, because our policy is if somebody wants something, they have to go through the town administrator anyway, so.
So for us, it's really a kind of a moot point, other than it officially hangs the moniker of public access officer on it.
Did that legislation require us to notify anybody that this person's been named? We have to let the state know somehow, or?
I didn't think so.
I don't
I think
think
it just
so.
said that they have to, my guess is if you got audited, somebody would say, do you
Yeah,
have a
I
public
think that
access?
it's just set up so the,
I think probably need to, I mean, we've got a policy, so maybe we just need to add a line into that policy that says the town administrator shall act as the officer.
including that in your motion,
Yep.
in the second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Discuss the vote, set up a workshop and/or public hearing to address fireworks concerns. We had a little brief discussion of this last week. Felt we would at least have the discussion with the full board. I think there's enough noise and complaints and debris and whatnot that we probably should revisit at least. Should we or should we not have an ordinance? And probably the place to start would be to seek public input. So if we have a public hearing for input, would seem like the most logical first step to take. You know, last year we did the survey online and whatnot. Maybe we can continue to do that, but we probably should host a public hearing for input.
Just interesting what some municipalities are starting to do as far as fireworks. The town that I work for, what we're doing now is if somebody is shooting off fireworks, they're legal, but a neighbor calls to complain about the noise, the police department is going over and issuing a warning for disorderly conduct because it's disturbing the neighbors, and the statute is written about disturbances. And then if we have to, under the statute, you have to do a warning first. So then if they continue to shoot off the fireworks and the neighbor calls, again, we're issuing a summons for disorderly conduct. There has been some discussion about that with the Attorney General's office, and the chief made a very good argument for it in saying that it's no different than a loud music complaint. It's disturbing the neighbors. You're going over, you're issuing a warning, and if you're going back, it's a noise complaint. Fireworks are setting off a noise that is disturbing to neighbors. So it'd be interesting to see if we have any of these that kind of go through court, if they're going to be upheld by a judge. But municipalities are getting pretty creative in dealing with fireworks.
Seems
like a lot of
attorney's office gets on
process.
board for prosecution.
Dispute resolution, you
yeah.
gotta be a whole bunch of stuff going on.
I don't like you, so.
So,
You're
what's your
allowed.
pleasure here? You want me to schedule something with Christine for like September, mid-September? So we can at least get some,
Yeah, good
so
idea.
we'll shoot for maybe the 18th of September. That's good with everybody?
Sounds good.
You're gonna have a public hearing?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get it advertised every week and get it out there.
Are we going to do a poll again?
Yeah, I think we could do that in conjunction with that.
Could we get the poll up, like within the
Maybe
next
change
week,
the
so we have
questions
the
a little bit,
results?
Yeah,
so
we
it's a
can
little
do that,
different.
David, just to say that the board will be holding a public hearing on such and such a date. Here's a poll, what are your thoughts? And
Yeah, just-
Send a few questions or just have a general comment box or what?
Well, I think the question of, now that the fireworks ordinance, or the fireworks law has been enacted since January, do you still feel that the town should not have an ordinance? Because that was kind of the overwhelming consensus that we had from the poll question, was that people didn't want to see an ordinance. It'd be interesting now to see if that's still the feel of the community.
Yeah, I
And a
mean, I
comment
think
section.
even a kind of an open-ended question here, because not a load of people respond to it, but say, something like, there have been complaints about fireworks and with debris and with the noise, and yet at the same time, there are people want the right to set these things off. Any suggestions as to any recommendations here as to how we deal with that? Have it open-ended, and maybe some people come up with some pretty good ideas.
Yeah, I think last time we had over 100 people that responded on to our polls. We had a fairly,
so why don't we get creative, David, and put something up there and take a look at it.
We can, just a reminder that last time there was an issue about somebody
multiple people in the household that had an opinion, and they couldn't, one registered an opinion because it recorded the IP address, they couldn't, somebody else in the same family could? That's fixed now, okay.
All right,
And they were able to go back on that same poll and take care of that too.
all right, next item is county tax. Last week, we had in our correspondence this lovely letter from county administrator. And evidently, the county commissioners have made this decision to move to a fiscal year, which I think Amy Jo explained as a result of one of the 12 town group meetings. This had me a little confused as you look through how they're going to fund this, and they're actually going to have a fiscal year that's only going to be a 6-month year, and you're going to be able to. They're going to set the commitment.
It's Dennis.
Me, sorry.
Like a foghorn.
I was gonna say, I thought it was a bomb.
He's noisy.
The two taxes are going to be committed by the commissioners this January. The first commitment will be for 6 months. Second commitment will be for the full fiscal year.
Oh, yeah.
All right. The due date for fiscal year 14 will be September 1st of next year. So a year from 50 weeks from now. Or 4 weeks from now. The due date for the 6-month budget will be December 31st, which is going to be after that. So I guess they're going to run the fiscal year from January 1st this year to the end of June,
They're having
with borrowed money.
Yeah.
So they're going to have the tax anticipated notes or something. And they're not going to pay, they're not coming to the municipalities for that money in this current fiscal year, our current fiscal year. So our tax commitment to the county that we're paying now, right, which is this month, will we pay it this month or next month?
October within 30
Okay.
days. Our commitment.
Will be for this calendar year for the county, right? So they've borrowed money and run the county, and we owe them the money in October.
So we'll basically next year have a 1.5,
Right, and you have a choice.
150%
You
payment.
have a choice for the 6-month year that you can pay for that over a 5-year period.
You know, I'm wondering if there's a typo in
And they
this.
charge an interest?
Because when we were having discussions, it was going to be that the first 6-month budget was going to be due in December of this year.
Yeah.
Well, we get no
They're
money
borrowing
to
on
pay that.
that.
And that's why they were going to do,
So that's my concern, is that if that is the case, then we have no money to pay that. That's let's assume it's half a year, it's $160,000, $170,000.
Yeah.
They would have
We
to
haven't
come out of
budgeted.
taxation, and once the tax rate
Right.
is set, you can't raise it.
And they're not gonna set that rate until January of 2013. So it can't be due this current calendar year.
because we're supposed to, my understanding is they're going to call the budget committee into session. And we're going to do 2 budgets. We're going to do a 6-month budget, and then we'll do it immediately following that, do a year budget.
Well,
Wow.
not that we have to act on it tonight, but I think that we wanna make sure that we keep this ahead of us, because
Well, it'd be nice to know what exactly,
we're gonna have to have in next year's budget, which we're gonna start putting together here in another 2 months, we're gonna have an 18-month commitment for your county.
Yeah.
Yep.
So either, I mean, we have a choice. We either pay it all next year,
Oh, you
the
can
next
do it
for
over
6
5
months next year?
Only for the 6 months.
Always spread it out over 5 years.
But
Only
only
the
for the
6
6 months. The 6-month budget, you can pay for in 5 installments.
Yeah, yeah.
And instead of doing all tax anticipation notes, they were talking about some municipalities, although they didn't identify which ones, but some larger municipalities were actually in discussions to loan the money to the county as opposed to them going through a bank to do it.
That's nice.
Well,
An
we
interest
must,
rate too?
Yes, but it was
We,
supposed to be like a little bit of a lower interest rate than the banks.
we budget money every year for the county, so, I mean, we must have it already budgeted.
For this calendar year.
Yeah,
They're in a calendar year this year, we're in a fiscal year, right?
okay.
So we owe them, we're paying them in month 10 for a 12-month year, right? So they've borrowed money and all that, because the county still does tax anticipation notes, right? So our payment this year, or the next 2 months, will pay for this calendar year. Then next year, they're gonna say, well, we're only gonna run a 6-month year, we're gonna run it from January 1st to June 30th. They're not gonna come to any of us and ask for that money until the end of next calendar year.
Yes, but we raise money for this. I mean, so the only money we raise goes till December? And
That's
after
right.
that, we have to wait until town meeting and then raise it again?
That's right.
Oh.
So we're gonna raise money, we're
No,
gonna
it's
raise
technically-
18 months worth of budget for them.
It's not at town meeting, it's hooked onto a tax,
Yeah, right.
tax,
Yeah.
yeah.
So next year's tax commitment has to have 18 months worth of
Yeah.
commitment in it, or you do it for 13 months for the next 5 years.
What happens to the other 6 months that we appropriated out of our fiscal year this time if we're only paying them 6 months?
Because we're late, I mean, we're always late. We appropriated money for this current county year, which is our fiscal year, right?
Yeah,
Their year ends in December, our year ends next June.
yeah.
But the money that's in this year's commitment, which we just set tonight, right, pays for this county's calendar year. So we're 10 months late, basically. We don't pay it up front. We pay it during the course of that calendar year.
We have to pay it within 30 days of committing the taxes.
So the time payment plan is, the question is, does the county have an interest piece on that? And
I'm
if
sure
they
they do.
don't, they're losing money. And if
But
they
what it
do-
does is it prevents a municipality, like in our case, say we come in with a 0 budget next year, but we get this wild card of $170,000 for the extra 6 months for the county.
Yeah,
That's a $170,000 increase to our taxes,
absolutely.
right? Just because of this.
Yeah,
this
so the
finagle.
question is, is next year's budget looking at it as to whether we decide that we want to pay it off in 1 year or stretch it out,
Right.
especially if there's no interest
there'll
on
be-
it.
I'm sure
It
there's
makes
gonna be
sense to
interest.
stretch it out.
Anyway,
Anyway,
stay tuned, I guess, is,
Well, I don't like a tax commitment debt over 5 years.
oh, that
That's-
doesn't make sense
that's-
either.
We were supposed to meet with the new county manager a while back, and he had to cancel. Is there a way that we can get him in here before?
He was a guest at the 12-town,
Oh, he
rather
was-
than going to all of the municipalities, he was
Okay,
a
change
guest
the
at the
strategy.
12-month, and all the selectmen knew about it and were
Yeah.
invited.
It would be nice to see a commissioner on vacation, but. that's
He
not-
can't because he has school board meetings on
Okay.
Tuesday nights.
All right, item 7, district water district office space, we have a signed contract here tonight. So, this is,
you can take that off the list.
we'll take that off the list.
Great.
All right, we have no old business unless someone would like to bring something up. So we'll move on. Other warrants and bills for payroll.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for warrants and bills for payroll. All those in favor? Opposed? Approval of the minutes of 7:24 meeting.
Second, first,
Second.
There's only 3 of us here, so
You're out on
I'll
first.
I'll second it.
David, moved by David, second by Gordon to approve. All those in favor that were in attendance, opposed, and there's 2 abstentions who weren't here. Pending decisions, public service announcements, the driveway permit language, board and committee status, water district office space is gone, internet electronic mail policy revisions, barriers prohibit vehicles driving on a public beach, and then the cistern maintenance. Wheat's action list, I think we're all set with that. Christine, will have to on the September 17th. And I'll follow up with her on that. Discussion items for agenda items next week.
I think we can probably do the internet
I was
policy
just
next
gonna,
week,
yeah.
Okay,
because that's,
internet policy.
Yeah, David had sent some changes.
and
And
everything
I
looked
tried to
good.
put them on this, but it won't let me change it. Yeah, it wasn't, it just put,
Well, you've got it, so you'll put it together and send
yeah,
it out.
I got it. I have it on this one, on my regular computer.
And the action is, how are we with those speed sign modifications that we
Oh,
talked
that's right.
about
We
last
brought that up last week.
for the Nearing Ridge Road and
The ones that Sean wanted to do.
Oh. How did it find out?
He wanted to put flags on the 35
Yeah.
mile an hour thing and put in some signs that say strictly enforced by radar or something like that. Right?
radar aircraft,
Yeah, aircraft.
laser.
I put aircraft.
He wanted to move a sign too, but I'm not sure. There's 2 signs going up through there that I'm not sure how anybody could say that they missed the sign, but anyway.
Unless they came up in the middle of it, like off the.
You know, if they come off the Edith Huey Road, there's one right after that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So there's no way to miss them.
Oh, okay.
So I know he's trying to take away excuses like, oh, I didn't see the sign.
Yeah.
Well, you drive across here 5 days a week. You must know that it's 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, because those signs are what, the old white and black ones, so we
Yeah,
might be
July
better
is
get the
signs
real,
posted.
the real
Yeah.
bright ones.
Yeah, it might be just change them and put up the bright ones. So.
Nancy, do you know what's going on with cistern maintenance thing? I mean, is that Matt is supposed to be involved and
Yeah, I'll find out, I'll ask him.
get that thing going here?
All right, and next week we've got the 2020 and the planning committee and the Old Home Days committee reporting. So if anybody has anything for them. All right, items needing signature, warrants and bills for payroll, minutes. There is, the lease I just stuck in there. So, in the signature thing for the water district, so we need to sign that. In the minutes. Reminders, Garden Club tomorrow night, 6 p.m. here, or Town Hall.
Town hall.
Planning Board here at 7 p.m. in this room. 12 Town Group Monday at 6:30 in this room. Charter Review Commission, I believe, a meeting next Monday in the Old Town Hall. Selectmen's meeting here next week. The 2020 Master Planning Committee and the Old Home Days Committee are up. Remind everybody that senior luncheon is next Thursday at 11:30 at the Snowmobile Club. Library Board of Trustees, 6:30 p.m. Thursday, next Thursday, the 23rd. Old Home Days Committee, next Thursday, the 23rd at 6:30 p.m. at the Old Town Hall. The cribbage tournament, Saturday morning, the 25th at 8:30 at the Old Town Hall. Monday, the 27th, Transfer Station Recycling Committee, 6:30 in the Old Town Hall. 6:30 in the Old Town Hall. Community Garden Committee, we'll be meeting, and then 2 weeks from tonight, Selectmen's meeting reports, librarian, library board of trustees, and the Friends. I believe next week we have we've decided we already voted on those zoning changes, didn't we? I think that was the feedback that you had, right?
Performance bonds,
Performance bonds.
yeah,
Right.
January 17th.
Right, so. Okay,
Dennis,
yes,
this Saturday, the 18th, the Historical Society is having an open house at the Johnson Sawmill from 9 a.m. to 4.
okay.
So that's this Saturday.
Anything else?
We have a reminder on that food disbursement thing at the church.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was
When was that?
16th?
It's in the minutes.
16th is
Yeah, just a reminder that
Thursday.
they're coming in,
The
23rd, yeah, the 23rd.
Okay.
It's the 9,000 pounds of food to be distributed in town of Waterboro, right?
Good Shepherd.
Good Shepherd Food Bank. And it's gonna take place at St. Stephen's.
about 3 p.m.
3 p.m., yeah, 3 in the afternoon. So we'll put that on the next week's reminders as well.
They're also looking for volunteers to help guide traffic, unload trucks, package.
I know that the contract deputy has been notified, so, for traffic concerns.
That all being said, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
The workshop
Oh, are we having a workshop?
on goals.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
Tonight?
I would entertain a motion to adjourn and commence our workshop. How's that?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right.